It's our last week of this series, and I'm just so excited. I love this. I love this this chunk of scripture as we're going through the temptations of Jesus in the wilderness, and we're seeing how his temptations that he endured, those three ones that the other two that we talked about, and the one we're going to talk about today, are so similar to what we face on a daily basis, and how we can kind of look at how he responded and how we should respond. But today what we're talking about is we're going to talk about, would you rather be magnified or crucified? And so what we're saying is, would you rather yourself be the one that gets this glory and your name's the one that's praised and everybody loves you, or would you rather live a life following Christ so that you magnify his name for his glory, right? And this is a really important one because here's the deal, we're all prideful. Are there any Star Wars fans in the house? Yes? Awesome. You guys are my friends, and the rest of you, we'll talk in a week. Well, maybe we'll be friends that week. But if you've seen Star Wars, even if you're not a fan, you know the plot. Right? The main thread that goes throughout all of the movies is that there's a light side and there's a dark side. And what is the pole of the dark side? Does anybody know? Why is it so enticing? Does anybody know? Star Wars nerds? It's power, right? There is a power that the dark side holds that is so enticing. It's so enticing. And I love throughout the movie, they like kind of hint at this idea of don't even kind of start to just play around with this idea, because the moment you have, it's done. The moment you start to grasp and taste just a little bit of that, you're going to want even more. And that's this perfect understanding of what our pride does for us. When we start to go, oh, maybe I want this instead of God. And then you want a little bit more, and before you know it, you're way farther than you ever wanted to go. So if you have your Bibles, we're going to be in Matthew chapter 4. Matthew chapter 4. It's where we've been the last couple weeks. Going to read 3 verses out of there. Matthew chapter 4, verses 8 through 11. We're going to read out of there, but here's what we're going to look at. Here's what Satan is trying to do. He's trying to seek out, is there any ounce of pride or self-exaltation in Jesus? Is he about himself? That's what he's trying to see. And here's what it says. Matthew chapter 4, starting verse 8. Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their glory. And he said to him, all these I will give you if you will fall down and worship me. Then Jesus said to him, begone, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve. Then the devil left him, and behold, angels came and were ministering to him. Okay, so here's what we see. We're seeing this depiction of Satan taking Jesus to this ledge, and he's looking out. And the depiction kind of makes it seem like he's just standing on a ledge and looking out and just seeing all these kingdoms, right? But what's even more, he's seeing all the kingdoms, not just what he can see from the ledge. He's seeing the entirety of the world as a kingdom. And what Satan is saying is, I can give you all of this. I can give you reign over every kingdom on earth. You will rule this earth. All you have to do is bow. That's it. You have to bow and say that you worship me. But see, Jesus knew the story. Jesus knew his Father. And he said, I know what you're doing. Yeah, I'll have this earthly kingdom, but only for a short-lived time. Just like with us, where we get these promises of this glory and this greatness that we could achieve in life, it's only for a short amount of time. I love sports. I love watching sports, and the Super Bowl is next weekend, and the Super Bowl is huge. So many people watch the Super Bowl, and they pay ridiculous amount of money for the commercials because so many people are watching it. And then the athletes are like, there's huge football players, and then they win at the end, and they're all sitting there crying because they're like, I won this little trophy. Like, they don't get to keep the trophy. It stays in the offices, right? But like, we won. And it's this huge like moment of celebration. But then a couple months later, guess what? They got a battle again to try and win the trophy. And if I asked you who won last year, you might be able to tell me. If I asked you who won 3 years ago, if you're really a sports nerd, you might be able to tell me. But if I asked you 20 years ago and further, we forget those things. They don't matter. See, we build these things up and we get so prideful. I want my name to be glorified. I want to be a professional athlete. I want to win a championship. I want to be famous. I want to be whatever it might be. And there's this pride that wants to elevate yourself. Some of you that are in high school, seniors going off to college, you're thinking, man, what am I going to do with my life? What am I going to do with my job? And some of you have really great goals and aspirations, but sometimes they're in the wrong area. They're for the wrong reasons. You're like, man, I really want to be a doctor. That's a great thing. But if you want to be a doctor so everyone loves you, you're doing it for the wrong reason. Some of you that are in junior high, you're still living in a little bit less realistic dreams, or because you're like, man, I'm sixth grade, I can do whatever I want, right? Or seventh grade, and you might want to be a professional athlete, or you might want to be whatever it is. And those are great aspirations, and try your best in things. But if your reasoning is, I want to do this sport or whatever so that people love me, you're doing it for the wrong reason. You're trying to build yourself and magnify yourself by bowing to the wrong God. If you try and build your life and magnify yourself, and the God you're bowing to is yourself because you're like, I'm so great and worthy and amazing, you're bowing to a God that's going to fail you. I don't know about you, but I fail myself all the time. I'm like, man, I'm going to start working out. 3 weeks later, man, that was a great idea. That was a great 3 weeks. Maybe next year I'll do another 3 weeks. Or I'm going to start eating healthy. And then I fail myself at that because like two hours later, I'm like, man, I'm hungry. Ooh, bag of chips. Right? We fail ourselves constantly. We're not good gods. And Satan doesn't have your best interests at heart. This temptation is saying, I'll give you what you want, but it might not be good for you. But he doesn't care. And in the moment, you don't either because it's what you want. And then years down the road, you'll be like, man, I really wish I didn't get that. I've known people that are seniors in high school with me, and we're all figuring out where we're going to go off to college and do for the rest of our life because we think like whatever college you go to is where you have to stay forever, and whatever degree you pick is where you have to be in your job for the rest of your life, which isn't true. So relax, calm down. I know seniors and juniors, you've got time to figure it out. Sixth graders, just keep staying in sixth grade. It's awesome there, right? Life is good there. But so I knew seniors, and they're like wanting so bad to go to these big, gigantic schools, and so they can have this name. And I knew one kid, he's like, I really want to go to Stanford. And I was like, why? Like, this sounds horrible. That sounds like really hard. And he's like, he was ridiculously smart, so he could totally do it. And he's like, well, it's Stanford. It's like, yeah, I know. That's why they call it Stanford, right? I know the name, but why? It's like, well, it's the name. You're going to pay to go to a school, and you're going to pay more because you want a name. Well, yeah, people will like if I go to Stanford. So what you're saying is because people like the name, they're going to magnify you because you can say, I went to Stanford. Guess what? He dropped out. And then you go, bet you that $80,000 would be nice to have back, right? And he's done amazing. He didn't even need to go to Stanford. He's so smart. Started his own business, all sorts of things. I'm jealous because I wish I was that smart, but I'm not, right? It's okay. Because God has put me where I should be. And he said, okay, we're not going to let you magnify yourself. You're going to glorify me. And I was like, all right. I don't know what that looks like. Right now it looks like hanging out with you guys, and I love that. I love it to death. But here's what I want to catch. Satan showed Jesus the potential future. And that's what people do to you guys all the time. You know there are 7th and 8th graders getting scholarship offers to colleges? Like a 7th grade football player getting a scholarship offer. I'm like, man, I could barely jump in 7th grade. You're like this high off the ground. I was still 3 foot tall in 7th grade. How are these 7th graders getting football scholarships? You don't know what he's going to be in 4 years. We don't know what 4 years is going to look like. You're giving this kid a scholarship because he's 6'2" in 7th grade. You're like, oh, he's going to be 7 foot tall. What if he never grows again? You're like, oh man, we made a mistake. We shouldn't have gave that guy a scholarship. See, what Satan was doing, he's going, look at how bright your future could be if you just bow. And our society does the same thing for you guys. Look how great your life will be if you go to this top name college. Look how great your life will be if you just lease this car. Buy a brand new car. Everyone will love you. Get the biggest house. Everyone will love you. I've talked about this before. I've lived in houses that were so big that we had rooms that we didn't know what to do with. Gigantic, mansion type houses. My parents, who are divorced, lived on the same street. Weird, right? But it was awesome for me. They had the same exact house floor plan. And it was the biggest house on the street. And I was the kid that had 2 of them. You imagine walking down the street where are you going? My other house. So. And my family was miserable. But we were pitched the idea of a dream that sounded great because it was all about magnifying ourselves. Shortly after, my dad and my stepmom and my brother and sister and I lived in a 2-bedroom apartment with all 5 of us, and I have never been happier. Not because of who I was with, not because of my house, but because God was being glorified in my household. And his love was radiating out. Big houses aren't bad. Nice things aren't bad. But if in order to get them, you have to minimize God and magnify yourself and bow before a God that isn't the Almighty Father, it's going to crumble. And Jesus knew that. He understood that. And here's the thing. When we get an idea, when we get pitched this idea of, you should want this, it's great. It's the American dream. When you get a glimpse of it and you start to want it, you will do anything it takes to get it. Even if it means destroying other people's lives. Even if it means cheating your way to the top. I was watching this Netflix documentary and it was talking about all these different situations in American history where people have done immoral things to grow their empires and make lots of money. And each and every one, I was like, these guys started out as these small businessmen. And they were like, oh, I'm just going to start a business. Good idea, right? Want to make money, work for himself, start a business. Started to make some good money. And had this great idea. I could scam all these people and get rich. I can make this fake business and get rich off it. And then they're telling this story, and this one guy, he had made over $1 billion. And then he got caught. And he went to court, and they told him, you have to pay back $1 billion. But he had bought an $8 million house and had 3 Lamborghinis and decided he wanted to race cars professionally, so he had blown all his money. He had no money. And now him and his family owe $1 billion. And he's like, oh, well, no one will hire me because I'm a criminal and they don't trust me. See, he sold out so that he could make quick money, so he could be magnified. And it crumbled underneath him. It absolutely crumbled. We're going to read another set of verses, and still in Matthew chapter 16. Verses 24 through 26. See, but here's where we have to be careful, okay? As you're flipping there. See, what Jesus did is instantly, he's standing on the pinnacle, checking out all the kingdom. This can all be mine. Sounds great. And he doesn't even give it a second thought. He doesn't go, maybe just that one. What do I have to do to get just that one? I don't want all of it. Seems like a lot to clean up. I just want that one. He doesn't even think about it. He's like, no. I worship God and that's it. I serve him. There's not even a chance I'm going to bow. See, we have to be the same way. We have to look at life and go, I could really do this. I could really get this car, this job, or whatever it is. I have to be a little bit immoral to get it, but it's okay. I might have to do some ungodly things to get it, but it's all right. See, that's such a slippery slope. Yes, quickly leads to destruction. Jesus understood that. He's like, I'm not even going to look at it. Get out of here, Satan. Get out of here. Right? And here's the difference. Here's the other side of magnifying yourself. And it sounds brutal and it doesn't sound fun. All right? It's a great sales pitch, right? Check this out. Wrong page. Matthew 26, verses 24, or Matthew 16, verses 24 through 26. It says this, then Jesus told his disciples, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? Or what shall a man give in return for his soul? Here's the other side. You can sell yourself into the slavery of idolatry and pride and be magnified and have your name written in the lights. And will you pull up that one picture with my name on it? This one. That, to me, would be the coolest sign in the world. I don't know why. Also, my last name, but I couldn't find that. My last name that don't know is Bills. And I like to put a dollar sign at the end just because it's fun to think I have money, but I don't, right? But this idea, if you listen to music, how many times somebody dreams about having their name written in lights? First of all, what a weird thought. Write your name in something that's going to stay longer, right? Like paint. Paint lasts longer than lights usually. Lights burn out, right? Write your name in paint. But see, that's the idea. I want my name to glow. I want to be magnified. I want people to look at me and go, I want what he has. You ever looked at celebrities' lives? Anybody? Anybody ever seen you watch on Facebook or whatever, or read a magazine, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're living so lavishly. My mom read this magazine, and I'm not kidding, it was open, and I looked at it, and it's like, the celebrities shop too. I was like, really? This is readable? We're reading about how celebrities have to buy groceries too? Of course they do. They eat just like us. Maybe they're fancy and they have someone else buy food for them, but still, someone's got to buy food, and eventually you have to go out in public. But this idea of, I want what they have. I don't know about you, but I love shopping. for food. I mean, not other stuff, but food is great, right? Because I buy everything. I go down every aisle, and if I see something I want, I put it in my cart. That's also why I can't have my name with a dollar sign at the end. That's why I don't have any money, because I eat food and I love it, and I'm happy about it, right? But this idea that's pitched of, you should be famous, you should have your name written in lights, it should be all about you. But guess what? 10, 20 years from now, people might not remember who you are. 100 years from now, they might not even know your name. 2,000 years from now, are going to be like, who's that? Right? We read names from the Old Testament and we're like, man, those parents were mean because they named their kid some weird stuff. See, we have this idea that if we magnify our name, we become worth more. But you can never be worth more than what your Father in heaven already says you're worth. He sent his Son to die for you. That's how much you were worth. You ever watched how quickly Twitter turns on a celebrity because they tweet one bad thing? They tweet some random thing and it's a typo, and the whole world just destroys them. That's the internet. That's what magnifying yourself gets you. But what does Jesus want us to do? Deny yourself and take up your cross and follow him. You know what deny yourself means? It means I'm going to look at the world and go, this is the kingdom I can have. But I won't glorify God with it, and I know that. So I'm going to go and have him do what he wants me to do, and I'm going to glorify God with it. Because like I said, you can live in a gigantic house and have fancy cars, and your family and your home can be empty. And you can be in a little apartment with cars that you're praying every time you get in the car that it doesn't blow up and it gets you to where you need to go. And you could be totally fulfilled and satisfied in who God is. My first car was a 1975 Camaro. It sounds really fast. It was not. It was very hot inside. It was all black interior, all like fake leather, because that's what was in the car, and it had no AC. So I pretty much died every time I drove anywhere because I was dehydrated by the time I got there, even if it was like 4 minutes away. And my buddy, he got in the car with me one time, and he was like, man, you must be like really close to God in this car. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, because every time I get in this car, I pray that we're going to get there safely. And I'm like, that's a good thought. Like, I have to pray that I'm going to make it to my destination when I was in this car, especially at the start, because sometimes it would like turn the key and just nothing would happen. And it was great because then I would get out and you go to the front and you just kind of shake the car a little bit and then it would start. I don't know why, but that's what it did, right? And the first time my buddy was in it, it was my roommate in college. The first time I did it, he was like, is the battery dead? And I was like, no, hang on. I got out front and I was like, and I look up and he's in the windshield light. I was like, fine, it's fine, hang on. Boom, it starts up and I was like, see, we're good. And he was like, dude, I'm never getting this thing with you again, right? And I was like, right, but we're focused on God. We're praying we get there. Have faith, man. It's cool. See, sometimes these things, these trials, these struggles, these things that we don't know why it's happening, they're the moments in our life where we have to have the most faith. We have to go, okay, God, I am just getting destroyed right now. And I don't know why. I'm trying to magnify myself. I'm trying to make myself look good. And you're just wrecking this. What's your plan? I'm going to deny myself. I'm going to follow you. See, I went to college and I want to be a sports medicine doctor. That means I wanted to work with athletes. I wanted to work with professional athletes mostly and be able to hang out with them and help them feel better and do all sorts of stuff like that. And one of the main reasons I did it is because I love sports and also I can make a lot of money. And within 3 months of doing that at school, I was severely struggling in my relationship with God. And as I had made that decision to go, I said, you know what? I can make more here. my career is going to be better. I'm going to make more money. And also this school really wants me and they're going to give me a lot of money to go there. So much so I was going to get paid to go to college. Like absolute dream. I'm not going to have any student loans. I have so much in scholarships. I'm going to get money to go here. And I went. Sounded like a great idea. Wasn't even thinking about it. It was all about money. Within 3 months, I had stopped coming here. I was doubting everything. And physically, I was sick because I was working. I was all about getting money. I was working 40 hours a week. I had 17 credit hours. Those that have gone to school know that's a lot of credit hours. I had 2 labs. All I cared about was money. I wanted to magnify myself. And God quickly humbled me and showed me, it's not about you. Junior hires that are in here, they're like, hey, you have these big dreams. That's great. Make sure your dream is not about you. It's bigger than you. High schoolers that are going to go off to college soon, it's not about you. It's bigger than you. If your whole reason for living life is to magnify your name, you've missed out because you can magnify his name and change people's lives. Ryan's talked about it before, how he took this pay cut to be able to do this job. And there's all these pastors that you hear about that are doing these huge things and running businesses and making millions. And they're like, forget this, man. I don't want this. I want to actually change people's lives. Money doesn't change your life. The gospel does. Here's the last point. Check this out. Will you show that last picture? All right. Check this out. Anybody ever built a sandcastle? Yeah? Did it look anywhere near that good? All right. So I asked David to look up, get a sandcastle picture for me. He found this one, and he was like, do you want a good one or a bad one? This was the bad one on the internet, okay? Let me tell you that. The third one on there was it looked like that. It's kind of a bad picture, but we love you, David. It looked like that, but with sand. And it was probably 5 foot, 6 foot tall? Who has the time and the patience to build a sandcastle like that? I'm like the guy that puts the sand in the bucket, flips it over, pulls up the bucket, and half it crumbles. I'm like, sandcastle. Close enough, right? That's me. I don't have this kind of patience. But here's the deal. This is pretty cool, right? If you built this, would you be pretty proud? I would be really proud of you because that's amazing, right? You even cut out windows. I don't even know how you do that. But you wouldn't want to live in that. Would you? I don't even want to live near California because of all the sand, right? You go to the beach once and you find sand for 12 years. Could you imagine living in a castle made of sand? It'd be horrible. We don't want to live in this. It's cool, and it's like, man, this is really awesome, and it makes you feel cool because you built it. But this is what it's like to magnify yourself. You build this castle, you build something up, and sooner or later, a 7-year-old boy is going to come running through with a Frisbee and he's going to step right on top of it. And you're like, no! And he doesn't even care because he keeps running, right? It's building a castle made out of sand. That's what magnifying yourself is. You build something that looks pretty and it crumbles. But to deny yourself, to take up your cross, to follow him, that's to push off some things and go, you know what? I'm not going to live for myself. I'm going to live for him. This type of kingdom is what awaits. Something that's solid and everlasting. It's not going to crumble when a 7th grade boy runs through it. Nothing can make this kingdom crumble. That's the beauty of what he's calling us to. Don't magnify yourself and live here. Magnify him and glorify him so eventually you will live here with the Father of the universe, the creator of everything. So that's the question that we all have to ask every single day when we get up. today, am I going to live to magnify myself? Or am I going to crucify myself now and deny myself now so that eventually I can live in his eternal and perfect kingdom? And those of you that are like, I'm a junior higher, like, how can I magnify yourself? It could be as simple as being a musician or an athlete or an actor or whatever it is you love to do. And the moment it's over and everybody's applauding, do you go, how great am I? Or do you say, how great is my God that he lets me do this? And when you get into high school and you're playing sports and you have colleges looking at you, or you're in plays and you're going to go off to some awesome art school or whatever it is, and you're getting these college letters, or you're getting job offers, or you're getting people like, man, you really need to come do this, or come work for me, or come make all this money, or whatever it is, and you're going, man, I could do this, and how great will people think I am? Are you going to say, man, how can I use this to glorify God? How can I use this not to build a sandcastle, but to help build his kingdom? Because here's the deal. Some of you in this room will make not very much money in your lifetime. And you can still contribute to building that kingdom. And some of you may make millions of dollars. And my prayer and my hope is that you don't build this with millions of dollars. You go, how can I use this and give this and deny myself and carry my cross and serve him to help build this kingdom? Jesus understood it. Satan said, bow and I'll give you everything. And he said, no, my dad already gave me everything and I'm his, and that's where my identity lies. I refuse to give that up. I refuse to. And each and every one of us has the same question we have to ask. Do you want to live in the identity of Christ and go, I know what he has for me and I know my inheritance is to live in a kingdom? The picture that it paints is a kingdom made of gold and at the same time transparent. I don't know how that's possible, but I want to live there because gold things are cool. And they're shiny, and I like shiny things. I want to live in that kingdom. That means now I have to deny myself sometimes and go, it's not about me, it's about him. Jesus understood that, and he did that. So as we go into small groups today, and your leaders are leading, you'll be thinking about with your life currently and where you want to go with your dreams, your aspirations, whatever it is you want to do. Is your goal to magnify yourself and build a tiny little sandcastle? Or is it to magnify God and be able to live in the gold kingdom where the presence of an ever-loving Father is? Let's pray. God, thank you for today. Thank you for this time that we can be here. I pray that you continue to show us what it means, God, to carry our cross. What it means to deny ourselves. God, I pray that if we have hearts that are trying to magnify ourselves, that you humble us, God. You humble us greatly so that we understand it's not about us, that you have a far better, a far greater plan for our lives. A plan that includes being a part of the inheritance of your kingdom. Being able to be in your perfect, amazing, gracious, and loving presence, God. That is far greater than anything money could ever buy. And I pray that you continue to remind us of that each and every day as we plan on how we're going to spend our money, how we're going to live our lives, everything, God. We love you, and it's in your name we pray. Amen.